Check it out now. This ain't a slide, let's take a ride, and I don't mean in a car with the D-O-C-I, the double L-R. Birthday baby celebrating, doing right now wrong. We thanking God, mom and dad with a birthday song.
God, mom and dad, I wouldn't be here celebrating without you. God bless us all, and this is true. I thank you. Happy birthday.
I need the room is full of love, not an ounce of hate. We came to celebrate a birth on a specific day. We're gonna add a slice of lemon for a little twist, so everybody find a blessed born, blow 'em a kiss. And when I say to blow a kiss, I mean the lady to man. If you're the same agenda, hug him or just shake his hand. The whole intent, not forget that everything here is good. See, I ain't trying to cross your comfort zone. Is that understood? We ask for presents on our birthday in the form of a gift, but it's the presence of his essence when he starts to uplift. You see, there's no amount of money in the end of the star. You can't compare to what you're feeling when he's touching your heart. So howdy ho, let's go, people, get up and dance. And on your birthday, each and every one is getting a chance. So in this order, give thanks, loud and making it clear. Thank you, God, mom, and daddy, cause I wouldn't be here. Woo!
God, mom and dad, I wouldn't be here celebrating without you. God bless us all, and this is true. I thank you.
We had to have a little fun, dance a party in peace. Pay homage to our parents, family, friends, and the feast. So if you're feeling any anger, ain't no room for the beat. Turn around and hit the door, and what we telling them, peace. See the time so out of order, that's becoming the norm. Got the faith to keep believing as we weather the storm. Got the feelings back together, as we assemble, we pray. And for the person of the hour, happy birthday. Clear the floor, spread it out, give the ladies some room. And barbecues, clubs, wedding for the bride and the groom. Hit a mood, it was the bomb. Everybody went boom. They didn't practice what they did, I would have to assume. I think we're coming to an ending. Are you ready to stop? Give it up one more time, mama and pops. Not a better way to end it, gotta say it loud. Each and every day you give us, thank you, God.
God, mom and dad, I wouldn't be here celebrating without you. God bless us all, and this is true. I thank you.
Happy birthday!
God, mom and dad, I wouldn't be here celebrating without you. God bless us all, and this is true. I thank you.
Happy birthday! All right, welcome to the Unity by Default show. I'm one half of your host team, D-O-C-I-double-L-I, and this is
Lady T, a.k.a.
Pinky.
What's up, y'all?
Man, all right, we're back for another week of the Unity by Default show, and the subject was so popular last week that we had to bring it back for a part 2.
Yes, it was so fire, dope. Everybody was on fire. The comments was on fire. Please share this video right now with your friends so they can come on and log in and dialogue with you.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Yes, sir.
Again, like, share, and subscribe. And our call-in number is 708-844-8429. That number again is 708-844-8429. Man, the topic is off the chain. You know, you did the right thing with the wrong person, or some people did the wrong thing to the right person.
Yes.
And people got fired up talking about it. I guess it was barbershop and hairdresser talk this week, because people said we gotta have a part 2 to this.
Yes.
I thought that was interesting.
Very interesting.
So people want to talk about whether they've been done wrong, or maybe if they've done somebody wrong. I think that's really what it boiled down to.
Pretty much.
With that being said, we got a couple of live audios that we're going to play. One is from Dr. Umar Johnson, and his was so much to the point that I think that I need to play that one first, because he just went in.
Yeah,
Let's see what we got here.
You give your 30s to the pretty boys.
Hold on, wait a minute. We want to start that from the beginning. All right, here we go.
Stop hoeing around all through your 20s. Stop hoeing around all through your 30s. You give your 20s to the street Negroes. You give your 30s to the pretty boys. They use you up, dog you out. Now you're in your 40s. And nobody's jumping to marry your ass. And so now you're saying it ain't no good black men. No, no, no. There's plenty of good black men. The problem is you gave your best years to men who didn't deserve it. The problem is you gave your best years to men who didn't deserve it. And now you see your biological clock is ticking. And your beauty clock. See, you got a biological clock. How long you can have those babies, and you got a beauty clock. How long you gonna be looking good? A biological clock. How long you gonna have them babies, and a beauty clock. How long you gonna be looking good? And guess what? When you hit those 40s, don't get me wrong, black don't crack, but everybody declines. Stop.
Ooh, now with that being said, because he put a lot into that. He said you're hoeing around in your 20s, you're hoeing around in your 30s. He said in the 20s, you're giving it to the street dude. In your 30s, you're looking for the pretty boy. By the time you get to your 40s and you start wanting to be married, he basically said the same thing that Kevin Samuels says. He's basically saying the same exact thing, he just put it in a different terminology.
Yeah.
Because Kevin asked when the women came on his show, do you have any children? The answer is usually yes. He said, why didn't you marry the father? And the number one answer, like if you was on Family Feud, ding, I was young. And, you know, okay, he said, when did you have your first child? They would usually say around 20. And then, you know, when did you have your second child? I was 23. He said, well, wait a minute. He said, the first one I give to you, even though I don't agree with it, but the second one, that was a choice.
Absolutely.
So what Dr. Umar was just saying falls directly in line with what Kevin Samuels was saying, but people was wishing death on that man.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. It's amazing how we can't accept the brutal truth these days. And no matter what side it's on, I just want to be on the right side. But it actually goes in well with the topic. You have given your best things. You done did the right things. Having children is the right things. But did you do the right thing with the wrong person is where we at. And that is a very good description of doing the right things with the wrong person. You know, and I just fit right in. So we just want to get like right to it because last week was so fire. And it brought out so many different scenarios when it comes to doing the right thing with the wrong person. And also, again, you done did the wrong thing to the right person. All right? So now you want to be married. Now you want to, you know, get married to this guy. I mean, you're in your 40s. Now you're ready to be married, do the right thing. And now you can't give him anything.
Yeah, you couldn't.
You have nothing left to give the next person. You know, and you know, I was having a conversation, and I love dialoguing, and I was like, there are men who have married women who have children, and it all depends on how she carried herself and stuff like that. Maybe she had all kids by one man, whatever, and unfortunately, the relationship didn't work out, the marriage didn't work out. But the scenario is, do most men who are single that don't have any kids, do they really go after the women who has no kids? I think most men who have children already probably would go with women, go after women that already had kids. He had kids. You're like, okay. You know, so I think that it has a lot to do with the person itself, and every scenario, situation is different. But for the majority today, I think that young women are being very careless, and they're being very reckless with that sacred act, of being intimate, having sex, because that is a sacred act. You know, when you break your virginity, you should be broken with your husband. And that's why back in the day, back in the silent generation, You know, most of them women were prepared and ready by the time they got 16, 17 years old. They was already ready to be parents because they knew that that was going to be the next move. It's not going to be long before you start wanting to have sex and the possibilities that, you know, sex come with children. And so at least they wanted to mold and shape you that you able to have children with the right guy. You know, someone who's going to step up and he's already prepared from his household to be a father figure. You know, so again, you know, we have to look at these different scenarios and choose wisely. You know, I think that wisdom is not being passed down like it should because we have the modern day grandmothers who want to be grandmoms. They want to kick it with their daughters and they want to be twerking and kicking it and having fun like the kids are. And you got to be able to draw a line and separate that. But now they all the same. So now you're trying to figure out, is that the mama or the daughter? Which one is it? You know, so again, you know, we want to get right into it.
All right, let me pull up this Kevin Samuels real quick and get what he has to say started.
So you got about 9 flags that a man should look for. And so we're going to kind of like
do
the opposite.
This
Okay.
is 9 red flags that guys should be looking out for in women. Here we go.
Guys need to watch out for when they're dating, regardless of the size of your pocketbook or your dreams or aspirations. Ignore these things at your peril because just like all the great men of antiquity, the Bible, and in the past, a woman can need to help, but oftentimes the wrong woman can throw a man completely into chaos. Start off with this one. She wants to be courted. Yeah, she wants to be courted. Now I know there's some guys who are probably thinking, hey Kevin, you kind of talk like a traditional man. What's wrong with her wanting to be courted? Nothing if she's truly a traditional woman. But typically women want to be courted because they want all the benefits of traditional femininity in gender roles, but they ain't bringing none of that stuff to the table. This is just another way of asking you to simp. Very few westernized women deserve to be courted. I say it again. Very few westernized women deserve to be courted. You guys fought for equality. You're my equal. You wanted equal pay. You wanted equal rights, so you need to get equal lefts. You wanted to be courted. That ain't gonna happen. We are equals. Deal with it. Thank feminism one-on-one, your mamas and your grandmamas. This is the world. Ladies, if you're watching, understand this is what men are on the lookout for. So if you're asking some guy to court you, what are you bringing to the table other than sex and debt?
Ooh.
That was
Sex
a mouthful.
and debt, and that's it. And thing that's being flaunted is sex, because that's what's on TV, that's what's in the videos, that's what's in social media, that's across the board. Sex is being flaunted continuously and thrown in your face. It's even being thrown at children now. So when you do that, then what do you expect to happen? It's like Dr. Umar said. He said, man, in your 20s, you're throwing it at the street dude. For some reason, you have this fascination with the street dude. That was like back in the 80s. Everybody wanted the drug dealer. So you had dudes that ain't never did nothing like, dealt no drugs, acting like they was hustlers just to try to get with these females. And, you know, you're having sex, you're making kids. You're making kids, who taking care of them? You know nothing about the other individual that you're having sex with and you create these children with, and you're going to leave this responsibility off on somebody else in the future. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, women have made sex transactional. What we gonna get one for the other, but we're not anticipating what can happen, and a child can happen out of this, and it's usually be in the middle of chaos, and we have to be mindful. And then we got women who's the boss chick, or I don't need a man, and so you find yourself being on the same level. A lot of times when we into certain groups that protesting about certain things, we have to really get in depth to know exactly what we're participating in. How will this wreck, balanced households? You being able to take him out of his role, or you coming out of your role, and you putting yourself on the same level plane. There's always going to be a differentiation between the two, so we have to be very careful with that.
Yeah, because you're not walking into the same scenario where a relationship will be formulated and the man will be the provider and things of that nature, because of this modern transition that's occurred over the last 50 plus years. Dudes are escaping the responsibilities, and we'll get into that as we go down this list of 9 things to watch out for. So let's go over to number 2. See what Mr. Samuel
Got a
got to say.
90-day rule, or any kind of rule like this, in my opinion. The first time I hear a woman say she's got a 90-day rule, I'm out. The first time I hear a woman talk about this rule or any other kind of rule like that, I'm out. Just like the United States had a policy, we do not negotiate with terrorists. Women can be emotional terrorists. I do not negotiate with them, because if you give a mouse a cookie, it'll ask for a glass of milk. She has a 90-day rule. That automatically implies to me that she thinks her vagina is gold, that it's something that gum important that I have to work, strive, and earn for. I don't work that hard for anything that doesn't benefit me. Her vagina ain't it. If you have these 90-day rules, go out and blame all these Steve Harvey type guys who told you guys this foolishness. That is man repellent. Rule on day 1, in the other 89 days, it'll be you playing with your cat by yourself. Next, she's a single.
Okay.
Wow. So that whole thing, and that's why I heard that whole 90-day rule thing coming from the Steve Harvey book. And it's funny because he put out the book, and automatically women just took to it. I think he said what they wanted to hear, and they ran with it.
Well, yeah, some significance that's beneficial. I'm not going to call it a total disaster book, anything like that, you know. But the 90-day, first of all, let's clear it. Bottom line, a woman's vagina is the shit. Sorry, you can say what you want. It's like crack, you know it. You know, so we gonna have to also understand, as quote unquote is what we hear, how he, you know, left Earth. But for the most part, it should not be done in a transactional way. It is very powerful. The vagina is it. That's what brings life into the world. All right, we degrade it by our actions. Okay, and that's what make it very not it. Okay, but if you, but you can also deteriorate it on how you handle that. You mishandle that gift. It's a gift, you know, and you know, we can't, you know, 90 days he can't get this, and the other. I mean, I think that no, you shouldn't give up sex right away. No, you shouldn't. You know, men have a couple of days. If she don't give me none, I'm out of there.
A couple of days.
First day she gonna have to drop it like it's hot. You know, men give his day rules as well.
That sounds like buying a prostitute.
So he's saying that
he's paying for whatever this transaction. That's when it's transactional coming from the other way. If he's saying she got to give it up the day that he meet her, he's looking for a hoe. It's just what you call it just said. He's looking for a hoe. He trying to buy him a piece.
So if he don't, you know, he rather buy it instead of being in a relationship or something like that. So you got some men that just rather deal with stuff on that level.
Yeah, you got some that'll buy it, but some of them, they buy into they doom because they say, well, I only did it one time, and then you in paternity court, and they say you are the father. Now you got 18 years to pay for that night.
And that's what I'll be saying.
Or plus, if they go to college.
So anytime you think you're trying to be slick, here you might get caught up.
So what's the next one here?
I'm not going to bash single mothers or anything like that, but bottom line, there used to be a time when a woman had a baby out of wedlock, it was few and far between. And there was some shame that went along with it, enough to where they didn't keep going out and doing it over and over again. Now it's a badge of honor. You, as a man, are worth too much and too valuable. If you got your head on straight, you're out doing your thing, working your business, taking care of your business, you should not be forced to pick from a crop of women who've already had another man's children. You should not have to go out here and fight the world, build such and so forth, to come home to a woman that you will at best be the 4th or 5th most important thing in her life. You deserve better than that. I am sorry, ladies, if you've had a child, that is your responsibility. Own it. And as far as I'm concerned, stay out of the dating scene until your kids are out of the house. You made the choice to have those children, especially if you did it outside of wedlock. If you made that choice, then you make the choice to wear that scarlet letter. It's not our problem, it's yours. Guys, do not date single mothers. Do it at your peril. Next.
Ooh, he said do it at your peril. That's a pretty good point when you look at it, because you made this choice, you got this child, or you have these children now, and where you didn't hold the first person accountable, you're going to take the one that you decide, well, I want to marry him. But again, he has to take on this responsibility. What is the responsibility of the first guy come into play?
Whoa. So that's a mouthful, and I can respect his point, definitely. No matter what the situations are, depending on, whatever the situation, it could be young, and it could have two young people, call themselves trying to be fancy, and and they had a baby. It could be a lot of different scenarios. But again, this goes back to the parents being able to make sure their children are knowledgeable, especially when a young girl comes on her monthly, because his chances are she can get raped. I've seen the youngest child. I've seen the youngest mother at the age of 10 years old. So as soon as she has a monthly, it's definitely almost, you got to get to educate them about what's the possibilities that can happen when having a child out of wedlock and all that. And they didn't play that back in the day. You would be having kids without marriage. The child was considered a bastard child, and I mean, it was just a lot, and kids having, and young women having so many kids today by different baby daddies, fathers. They do wear it like it's a badge of honor. Like, I got 5 different baby daddies. I got 6 baby daddies. And one thing I asked a young man, I was like, so what do you feel? He said, well, I know she got some good stuff. I said, that's it. I said, would you have a kid? But I was like, no, she got 6 already. Why would I add more? But 9 out of 10 times, they usually get the guys who naive enough, get them caught up, and hopefully it be that one to take care of all those children.
And that's what he called simping, because he said this guy, he handled his responsibility his entire life in hopes of finding a suitable mate, a wife. And what he has is what that video we showed where the girl asked, why don't you want to marry me? He said, well, you got 5 different kids by 5 different dudes.
Yeah, so we have to look at these things a lot different when it comes to, giving our best, our way already, instead of saving it for, your husband, as they say. But just like you said, particularly if their children are being bred before marriage. Marriage, you probably kind of give it a little pass, because anything can happen in marriages didn't work out, but your intention were good in the beginning. So again, I think we have to look at, procreating in a different kind of way, and because at that point, our children lag behind dysfunctional acts. They seem to be caught up in the middle of things like paternity court, all kinds of stuff. So we have to be very mindful when it comes to that.
Yeah, you can look at it on a case-by-case scenario. Sakara says, I disagree. You have to expound on that. What we got next here? So should women feel the same way about men? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the same way I just said, if she got all of these different kids, or even if she has a kid and she's trying to hold a man to a certain standard, I know a lot of women that know that this guy got kids by her, but thinks that what she's going to do with him is going to be different.
Well, I mean, and I agree with Chicago with that statement, because I'm going to be trying to do the opposite of what he's saying as well, because that's one of the first things I ask a man when I meet him or date him. The first thing, or we go on a date, I'm going to ask how many children you got, how many baby mamas you have, all of that, how many mothers, of your children do you have, and that's important to me, just like it is with him. He asked me the question, man, him the same question.
So what if he's one of that 51.4% that is unmarried, doesn't have any children?
I'm just going on opposite of what he was saying. If he don't want to date women that have children, women can feel the same way. I don't want to date a man that got kids.
Yeah,
so
it goes both ways. It's definitely not a one-way street. It's definitely a two-way street. Absolutely, I believe
absolutely, that. And that's just as important.
All righty then. What we got next here?
Strong, independent, fill-in-the-blank woman. For me, you have 3 times to say that. I'm a strong, independent, blank woman. I'm a strong, independent, blank woman. I'm a strong, independent. Check, please. I'm gone. Anytime that comes out of their mouth, non-negotiable in the sentence, whether it's day 1 or day 300. Because to me, that's an underlying issue that's waiting to burst through. A person who has to say, I'm a strong, independent anything is none of the things she says. It's like if you find yourself having to come into your house saying, I'm the man of this house. You got to say you're the man of the house, there's a problem. If you watch Game of Thrones, when Joffrey says, I'm the king, and Tywin told him, any man who has to say he's the king is not the king. Strong, independent, blank, anything needs to be strong, independent, and alone. She believes that men...
Wow.
That's very interesting. I really don't have no rebuttal with that one because you shouldn't have to say it. That should be seen.
Yeah, that one is usually a power play. I think it's a... Yeah, I think that one there is more of a power play with that one. And the words. Uh-oh. Mary Jenkins, Miss Mary then chimed in. Wait a minute now. See Miss Mary in the building. I feel that it takes two to tango. If a man doesn't want any children,
And put a cap on it.
there you go. Hey, that's real. If he don't want any children, that's right. And sometimes you got to be careful with that too because it's not 100% foolproof.
That number is 708-844-8429 is strolling across. You can call in whenever you want to chime in and dialogue.
Yeah, if you want to call into the show and you got something to say, please feel free to call in. That number again is 708-844-8429.
Absolutely. But yeah, I'm not a rebuttal because usually it like you got an alpha woman and an alpha man, and they usually don't. That usually ego versus ego. It comes to a disastrous moment because they all definitely power struggling. You shouldn't have to power struggle with your mate. You should coexist, and we chime in together. We're not against each other. You know, we ought to be against the world, not against each other.
So is it?
You know.
Usually when you see that though, you don't see the traditional man and the traditional woman. Because that traditional woman isn't there to be in a power struggle with a man. She's there to be a helpmate.
Absolutely.
And the mindset of that, where he says that strong, independent woman, and they usually only associate that with black women. I don't hear any other nationality. I don't hear any other nationality doing that. I don't hear a strong, independent Puerto Rican or Mexican woman or white woman or any other woman. All I hear that with is black women.
I would like to know that, if any of the cultural that, actually, muff their, they status quos around. You know who I am. It's probably different. It's probably how they do it, Now you know who I am. You know what I can do to you. You're beneath me. It's different languages, so who knows. But yeah, I feel like I think both parties should come to the relationship being self-sufficient and knowing each other's role. There's things that I can do, he can do. There are things he can't do that I can do. I think that we supposed to coexist with one another. We shouldn't have to pull that card. And again, a very point that he made, which is the man shouldn't have to come to his house and be like, I'm the man of this house. That's supposed to be already felt. When they walk in the house, they know that's the man. When you see a man and woman walking together, he that dude.
Yeah, that was point number 4, the power struggle. Now, point number 5, she thinks we're equal.
Women are equals. We are not equals. No male and female of any species on the planet are equal. We are different for a reason. I am not going to negotiate your role and my role. If you come into this saying that we're equal, we're automatically at loggerheads because you're not a woman, in my opinion. You're a female. I don't date females. I date women. Just like the men will hear what I'm saying, the males will probably throw shade. If you want a woman that you're equal, you're really giving your manhood up, and I can't help you. For the guys out there who are trying to hear me, equality is not what it's cracked up to be. Typically, women want equality when it benefits them, and they want to be ladies when it suits them. I don't have time for all the back and forth because I'm trying to do what I'm doing. I'm leading, she's going to follow. There can't be two captains. Pick your poison. If you pick equality, you'll die a slow death. She's a big-time church.
Wow. So he said if you pick equality, you're picking a slow death. So, I guess that comes into play. That was just like a juggernaut that, connects to the last one where it said, with the whole power struggle thing. If we're equal, then that means that anything that I can do, you should be able to do it too. So when you got to be careful what you ask for, Because when you get it, then you know it's usually like a convenience store. It's cool as long as it suits you. If it doesn't suit you, then oh no, I'm a lady. It's like I'm gonna tell you the perfect example. This is jumping off subject, but here's the perfect example of that. When you got the female who carries herself like a stud, and then she gets to talking trash to a man, and she get treated like a man. They be like, man, that's a female. Why you do that? But hey, you know.
You say you're equal.
Yeah, I mean, and it's messed up. I mean, remember we put
And then
that
it'd be
video up there?
unequal because he's
Yeah,
not biologically
because, man,
a
there
female
you go.
to be going in there. And again, you know, I think that because we out our roles, you know, it's only so much a woman can do, and there's only so much a man can do. It's like about coexisting. How can we bridge together with each other and make it connect? You know, how can we get this puzzle to fit together instead of trying to force it? You're gonna force it.
You got to get back to the basics.
Basically.
The basics is what's the basics are essential in life. I'll say that. If you do the basic things, then everything should flow accordingly. And you'll have a nice, smooth transition. It's when you go against the grain that, you know, it's
So
it's
is this
interesting.
modern day stuff is messing us up? Is it messing up relationships? You know, is it bringing, you know, are we doing the right things but with the wrong person, you know? And are we
Yeah.
doing the wrong things to the right person? It's like we can't seem to get that together, you know, and that's what's happening today. And we got to really get down to the bottom of that, you know. I think that there's always some form of clashing, you know, like I was saying the other day, just hearing these couples argue. I was like, this is annoying. And sometimes you got to be outside looking in and be like, I hope I don't act like that or talk like that or behave like that, because that got to be miserable every day. Arguing with somebody, and we power struggling. You didn't do this and you didn't do that. And, you know, it's like, why is it that we don't know what to do? If you do with you and I do with me, why is that why is not a happy home?
Well,
You know,
people
why
are
is
in
there
their natural
chaos?
element. People are operating outside of their natural element. When you operate outside of your natural element, especially when you're sliding over into what's the normal for the other sex, then boom, you got chaos that's being created. And once you got chaos, man, it's over. It's like this. It's like I remember my mother said, learn how to cook. If you depend on a woman to feed you, you're going to starve to death. And
I think people should know the basic essentials. That's for sure.
Yeah,
To survive.
But when I look at it, I'm like, man, when I look at my family down south, like the women, they pretty much don't want you in their kitchen. They don't want you in their kitchen because they take that as, you know, part of their role, their responsibility. When I look at my Aunt Rosie, man, she would call over to the house every day. Man, y'all done ate anything yet? You need me to fix you something? Let me know what you want. Take whatever it is you want out, the whole nine. And she still operates like that to this day. Her husband died last year, but she still operates within that capacity.
You know, you meet some men that have not been used to that treatment and can't even really appreciate a woman who actually does that. You know, cook him lunch, fix his food first. You know, have his slippers ready. You know, used to that certain kind of treatment, so you don't really know how to, you know, like receive it. You know, so again, you know, it's
crazy though when you come from that and then you move to a place where it's non-existent. Then you looking at it like, what the hell? What's wrong with these people?
Communication definitely gonna be a key in most relationships.
This one here should be a good one. She's a church girl.
I'm a Christian. I was born and raised in the church. I attend regularly, but big-time church girls tend to come with big-time church problems. There's no more hypocrisy in dating than in the church, because unless she's a big-time church girl and a virgin, you're already going to have issues. Oftentimes, big-time church girls try to use the Bible as a weapon against the men that they date. to hold you biblically accountable for everything that it says a man should be, but yet not hold themselves biblically, morally, or ethically accountable to anything that it says a woman should be. They'll tend to take scriptures out of context, use biblical stories for their own selfish and manipulative ends, and hit you in a place to where you really can't defend your spirituality. That is the height of manipulative, deceptive, bad behavior. I don't roll with big-time church Bible thumpers for these primary reasons. If it doesn't suit you, move on. But you know the kind of person I'm talking about. She's got lots of single.
Wow.
Before we go into that, let's hit this comment right quick. And it's based on what the last thing was. He said, let a man be a man and a woman be a woman. If a man does what it takes to be a man, then a woman don't have to be a man. That way women do what they do. You know, again, it goes to what I just said, knowing the roles. And that's what's going on right now this day because they don't really know. You know, men are really starting to help out a lot of women today because you'd be surprised how many young women don't know how to cook, don't know how to mother, don't know how to do this and the other. And so it kind of make you question her upbringing, And I think that's going on with a lot of our young women today. In my era, of course, my mom raised us to be very self-sufficient and raised us to be women, raised us to be mothers. And that's what's happening with a lot of young mothers today. A lot of men are not in the households. In order to be a man, you have to see a man, and that's not in most households today. And so they don't even know what a depiction of what a man is and what are those roles. Fortunately, I grew up with that, and that's why I know, on both ends. So I grew up in a balanced household.
I guess that's why it's so easy to convince children that they can switch sexes because you don't have anybody setting the example for what a man is or what a woman is in a household. So now you got little boys talking about, well, I feel like a girl now. And, they're trying to change their genders while they're children, something that's not going to be reversible and damaging them because it's listed as a mental disorder, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, Miss Mary, you hit that one on the head. I mean, that's dead right, and I believe that wholeheartedly. I think that if men would stand up and be men, hey, it's like they said at your wedding. Jimmy's friend, he said, in order to be a man, you got to see a man, and that's absolutely 1,000% true.
Yeah, and that's what's happening, And so again, are we having children? That's the right thing to do, but are we having children by the wrong person? Vice versa. Are you choosing a white woman, the right woman, to be the right woman? It could be white, Mexican, no matter, Asian.
Yeah, okay.
Are you choosing the right woman, to say, I want to have kids by her. I believe she'd be an excellent mother to my children and things like that. So are we choosing? How are we choosing? What are the scenarios that we need now today? I think we always should take it back to traditional, and that's what's happening to me. And we lost our way. We need to find our way back to them, to those basic principles and morals.
Yeah, tradition is a good thing. Now, what do you feel about the whole thing, what he said about the church girl?
Church girl. Church girl uses, a church girl uses so much to kind of put a hardship on the man. It's like what my pastor said. And I believe today, most women, like I say, they put a hardship on their man. It's like they have these expectations that what a man should be like biblically, from the biblical standpoint. And that's still traditional, but at the same time, we don't have those type of men who are actually stepping up like they were in the Bible. Because if you were to use a biblical or religion form, that's just not happening today. And it goes vice versa with the woman. A woman is not traditionally, biblically, or religiously actually upholding her religious belief as well. And what I mean by that is that, you're not playing your part in your role. You can't. I don't believe that if you're a boss chick or anything like that, or you can't be actually following the Bible because it has rules and regulations for both ends. Man, what is a man role of a man and the role of a woman? And particularly a lot of people not doing that, especially churchgoers, on both ends, So you got pastors sleeping with members. And you got
I
all
was just
kind
gonna
of.
say that. I'm like, man,
You got all kind of
more-
chaos. You got a lot of chaos that goes on in church. Devil in church. So because you go to church, don't mean anything.
You got
A lot of them don't
pastors
even
with
haven't
horse
read the
tendencies.
Bible. Don't know the Bible. You might spit a few scriptures here and there, but actually, do you actually live it? It's more negativity in my eyesight than I have seen for them to be, positive and actually acting out the Bible wholeheartedly.
Misinterpretation of the word, if you will.
Pretty much.
All right, that takes us to number 7. She has a lot of single girlfriends. Ooh, this is a big one. This one here
Girlfriends.
is.
You ever
major.
see a pack of animals roaming a neighborhood? There's always a lead animal, and the ones that roam. It's all a bad situation. It's a game. Single women who hang out with other single women sit around and talk about single women stuff, and it's typically a lot about man bashing. Because just like most women, anytime they break up, it's never their fault. They never take accountability. Everyone they broke up with is a jerk. So if you start dating this woman who's hanging out with a lot of single girls, she's going to go back to her friends, and everything that happens good over here, you're going to be getting undermined with over here. She's got a lot of single girlfriends that she hangs out with, or a lot of single girlfriends, period. Peace, 2 fingers. You can't win because there's strength in numbers, and female foolishness is at an all-time high, and we don't need to deal with it. Avoid women who got a lot of single friends. And another thing, women that have a lot of single friends don't typically hang out with women who are in relationships or married because they themselves don't know how to be. They know single. Let them stay single. She comes from a...
Wow.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, and you find a lot of. I've seen a lot of women that were in relationships take advice from single women and ruin their relationships, and then the dude end up getting with one of the girlfriends. And usually because they be putting all their business out there.
Yeah.
And when you
that's,
put all your business there, you giving her the ammunition to fill in where she know you not doing what you supposed to do. Because you telling her what you're not doing.
Absolutely. And most, like with me, when I'm single, I don't ask any of my married friends to go out, any of that. They be like, girl, well, you never asked me, girl, because you married now. You got married for a reason. That means you ready to settle down and be with your mate. Do couple things, Don't worry about what I'm doing over here. So stay couples. I think that should be respected at all cases. When you go out with your girls, ain't no one with a girl. Now you kicking, having a great time and things like that. Excessively, you may have to, especially if you're trying to get married, trying to be in a relationship, that's different. You have to pull back, But I think it's how you behave when you're out with your girls. I have been approached many a time, like, you a little different, I think your behavior, I think that your principles and morals as a woman, act like a lady comes out, depending on, like my mother raised us, and she raised me to be very respectful. Watch how I say, watch how I act like a lady, And that's the only thing I'm going to give Steve Harvey. Act like a lady, think like a man. You got to think like a man. But act like a lady at all times. Don't care who you with. You can be with your man. You can be with your children. You can be with your family members. You can be with anybody, but still always act like a lady, no matter what, And I think that's what's happening today. So when you see, like, it just young girls today, different from, back in the baby boomer days and things like that, they had to be home with their children. They didn't have time to really breathe. You had to be a wife and you had to be a mother. So you didn't really have that much time to go out as much. But now today, women with children or not, they just buck wild, and the things that you see them doing out there, I think that's their behavior is what makes it kind of awful, And just like men, I want to date a man who always constantly hanging out with his friends, his buddies, things like that. You got men out there be trying to take up for their buddies, tell me let her know you're with me, and this and the other. So men who hang out as well can ruin a relationship as well, because sometimes women be like, he married, he should be home, you should be encouraging him to go home to his wife and his children. So again, I think that we just need to be mindful, on both ends, differentiating, being single and being married, or even being in a committed relationship.
Don't be a pack rat. Stop running with the pack. If you can't make up your mind and make your own decisions, then well, your relationship is doomed to begin with. All right, what we got next? She comes from single women.
Online is single mothers, aunts, and cousins. My ex-wife hit this to the mold. I love that woman. She was fine as frog's hair, but when I went her family,
Fine as frog's
13
hair.
of the most beautiful women I have seen in one family, 11 of them were single. And I got to know why. Because they all had that same strong, independent, blank woman strength. They all had that quintessential attitude, dysfunctional group of harpies if I ever met them. Nice enough people when you meet them one-on-one, but if you have a long line of single mothers, aunts, and cousins, you have generational curses, problems, and things in that family. It will rear its head sooner or later. You don't want to be around either way. The downside is this woman typically has really good sex game. So, think with your big head, not with your little one. Look at the chips on the board and adjust accordingly. Don't even let yourself get sucked in. Ask some questions. Figure out what her family life is like, her family history. You're interviewing her for a job inside the corporation of you. You're the CEO. Why are you going to bring in somebody who's going to embezzle from the company, sell your secrets, and leave you in bankruptcy? And lastly, she's got a history of broken relationships, especially if she's an 8, 9, or 10.
Wow. So
Man.
coming from a history of single women in their lives, and I mean, this was such a great one because it make you just think about different families, and it make you like a scope and be like, okay. It made me really just scope certain, individual families and was like, wow, they single, they single, they single, they single. Same thing with the men, he's single, he's single, he's single. He never married, but he got a bunch of kids. You just start thinking about it, and it's this ongoing recycling of dysfunction that's keep going on and on and on. Nobody not taking the time out and be like, okay, marry the woman who having your children. She wasn't worth being married to. You got all these kids by, but she wasn't worth being a wife. You having all these children by this man, but he's not worth. He haven't asked you to marry him. Things like so. It make you just think about, wow, that's interesting. You rather just be single. Is that a generational curse, or it just make you really think about some things like, wow, that is something to ask. And there's so many more other questions to ask when you asking about family history because it's important. You're about to have kids by this person. You don't know what you're about to get into. And so I think asking the right question is definitely a must when you are in a relationship. And hopefully they be authentic and you're not asking the person that's have a representative on. You want them to take the mask off so we can ask the real question and get the real answers because, give it some time, because you can't keep up a lie.
Some people can keep up lies for years. I've seen some have multiple children and they talk about what's wrong with the guy, like he's a deadbeat. My thing is, why a child after the first one? Is he making you promises? What is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is something going on there where you still having children by him? And that's what I like to get down to, the why behind that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you did it one time and you saw things wasn't working, then why go any further with it?
Well, that's a whole other, because it's just something about that. When you have kids by a guy or a guy, well, some guys can move on like it's nothing. But it just seemed like you kind of want all your kids by the same guy. If you're going to have kids, I want them all by the same guy. Some people mindset is wired up different, which I can understand them. Since I got kids, I don't want to have multiple kids. I'm going to get my kids out the way by this one guy. They all be the same father. And that's that. I can respect that decision as well. But as long as you know that there was going to be your children, just like you said, it's going to be your responsibility. Because you knew who you was having children by. You knew he wasn't capable of being a father figure or nothing like that. So you already knew that you got to have only as many as you can take care of, because nothing is promised to you. But yeah, that's something to really think about.
Yeah,
That same thing in family history. I'm telling you, history of men, and it goes on, and it do faster down.
Yeah, I mean,
it faster
all
down.
you
You don't
gotta do is
necessarily
pay
just be
attention.
kids. It can be everybody was did drugs, or somebody else did. I was a gang banger. You have family history of people who, just did recycle the same, dysfunction. So it's good to ask those questions.
And the last one, she has a broken history of relationships. Ooh, boy.
9s and 10s, every one of their exes were all jerks and buttholes. I've never ever met a woman who's upfront about their relationships in the past and say, you know what, I messed that up. I cheated on him, I hurt him, I did this, such and so. It's always something was wrong with every guy. From high school to college to lifetime. From lifetime to college to high school to junior high to elementary. Each and every boyfriend or guy they've dated along the line was always something wrong with the men. Guys, step back from this for a second. Ask yourself, the only common denominator in all of her situations was her. If there's always a something wrong with everyone and it's not her, it's going to be you in a minute. Avoid this kind of woman at all costs, because all she knows is how to break up. All she knows how to be is in dysfunctional relationships. You're not going to come in and fix her. You're not going to come in and save her. Save yourself. Avoid her up front.
Wow.
Ooh, man. That was 9 things to look out for.
And on that last one, it's just as vital. You know, accountability is definitely very important. You know, when you're having a lot of breakups, you do have to sit back and ask yourself the question. Look at the person in the mirror and be like, okay, what is wrong with you? Don't always put the blame on them. Actually, what any relationships and you having these constant breakups, you really have to sit back and be like, let me see if it's me. What is that I need to change about me, and why am I attracting the same individuals, and why is it that I'm not in no lasting relationships? You know, and it's because a lot of times you just jumping in, you don't know the person, whatever reason they is for the now, and then when that's fulfilled, then you moved on. You know, it's like why is the interest not being kept? There's so many questions when it comes to holding a relationship and things like that. So it's very important, you know, to take accountability on both sides. Same is for him. You know, many different relationships. I had a guy had a nerve call himself bragging one time. Oh, I've been with 100 women. And the question I asked him, whoa, you've been in and out of a woman 100 times. That's nothing to brag about. Out of all those women, you didn't think, not one, you want to like settle down and be committed with it. Why did it take so many women? Men can be just as dysfunctional as women. So this really go both ways. Again, are we coming into a relationship doing the right thing with the wrong person? Or are we doing the wrong thing to the right person? And all because of lack of knowledge. You know, and I think that we have gotten away from traditional things. And I think we need to bring it all back, because there was some structure and all of that, you know. Some patriarchs back then were very negative. You know, we understand why some women preach to their young women, have your own money, you gotta ask them for nothing, you gotta do this, that, and the other. You know, there are some things that happened back in the day that made women who they are today too. So we can't always put the blame on women, because we modernized with having our own thoughts and making our own money, being self-sufficient, having our own. But we still should maintain a level of ladylike, a level of knowing our roles. We gotten away from that. We so bossy. We so entrepreneurial. We so you know, I'm sufficient. I'm just a strong this, strong that. I can maintain them. I don't need a man for this, that, and the other. We sold that to the point we have gotten away from traditional things that we need. We need to know how to be a mother. We need to know how to be a lady. We need how to talk to men, you know, in a respectful manner. Vice versa with men, same thing. You know, you have to still talk to her like she's a woman. She's not somebody you can handle, or someone you can treat like an object, or do what you say, or else I pay the bills around here and do what I say. This is my house. If you don't like it, you can leave. All those things made women had to step up and be like, I just get my own money and I got to put up with that. You know, so that's what, you know, so we have to not just put the blame on just one sex. I think it's both, you know, being able to communicate and adjust as the time, you know, move forward with, you know, modern times or whatever.
Well, that's our 9 red flags from Kevin Samuels. Man, if we got anybody that wants to chime in.
So you'd like to call in and add in more. I mean, what is the difference that, you know, from your era to now that you see different, and what would you like to implement, you know, particularly with our young people? How is that we can save our young people, because their mindset is definitely being coerced on what they see, you know, on social media. And it's almost to a point where it's, is addictive. Like they have their own little mind doing their own little thing. How is that we can reach them? Where did we went wrong? I think that now, because of the attention span, if we don't get them now until like 8 years old, we're almost gonna lose them. So we always say, we have to separate being their friends and be a mother and being a father. And that's what's happened. I think that is out of the households, and I think that's why we're having some of the issues that we are having today. And they don't even know, how to choose the right mate to do the right things with. They so used to getting done wrong that they think this is the norm, so then you got people that just the norm to just treat people wrong, and they think that's the norm. So we have normalized negativity, and we can't differentiate right from wrong accordingly, so we just got to fix it.
Normalize righteous behavior.
Yeah, that's what we need to normalize, Yep, so if you'd like to chime in, 708-844-8429 and give your opinion.
Yeah, we got
And
about
dialogue.
3 minutes left on the clock.
All right, another fire topic, part 2, because it was so on point last week, and we just wanted to add in these 9 red flags because they're important. Hopefully that would help us to, look at things differently when we want to coexist with somebody, co-create with individuals, because having a kid is, man,
I would like to see the opposite of this. I would like to see 9 red flags that women should be looking at in men.
I mean, like, you can take everything he just said and just reverse it. Everything he's saying. That's why I liked it, because you can take it and you can reverse it. The same question he's asking, the same question a woman can ask a man. If he come in talking, I'm the man of this house, and I run this, and I run that, and this is how it goes, and you do what I say, and that's it. I'm running. I'm out of there. I'm just like closing the door. I'm not your child. I'm a woman, and you're gonna treat me as such. So we can take that and just reverse it. If he's a male out here, a man out here that's just having kids all over the place, and he think that's cool. I got 9 kids. How many baby mamas do you have? Same thing. I'm out of there, because I'm not dealing with 9 children. I'm actually dealing with 18 personalities. I got to deal with not just your children, but the mother of those children. Do I have the mental capacity to even deal with that? Because I want to be with a man that loves his children, want to be with his children. But what if 4 of them women is causing drama? Do I want to be participating in that? They want to be involved in that? They even got it now that if a woman get with a married man with these kids, they can get child support out of her check. So we got to think about a whole bunch of stuff before we call ourselves trying to do the right thing with the wrong person. He could be a good person, all, but because of his situation, it can cause chaos in a relationship. We had to set aside what we initially look at. He looked fine. He great in bed. He got money. He got a little money. Not a lot, but he got something. But how all that going to be depleted once I get married? Because, I just can't be with a man that won't take care of his children. So we can just reverse everything.
Well, with that being said, it's about time for us to get up out of here.
Yes.
That was a lot to absorb, to be perfectly honest, man. I'm like, ooh. But
so please comment. Please
there.
continue to comment, and people will see those comments.
Yep.
And,
like, share, and subscribe.
That's
again.
Right, that's right.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
And
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we're going to leave up out of here. I think we're going to go out to the question today, because, man, is it something in the water or something in the air? What's making us make the decisions we're making right now? What's making us do the things that we do? And with that being said, man, I'm going to just say adios.
Yay, peace.
What is this? Tell me what is this? What is this? What is this? Tell me what is this? Tell me what is this? Tell me what is this? What is this? Tell me what is this? Tell me what is this? They're using calculators, can't figure out the math. Forgot our father's struggles. We on a broken path. our rights. Found the strength, taught love, held hands, community. They killed Malcolm and Martin. It's time to start up this unity. Time passed, slip, money come, skip family. Got a big head thinking nobody can handle me. Conquer and divide, but forgot about your health. It's that new age Clinton, he paid you, killing
Is it
yourself.
something in the water or something in the air? What is it that we're learning? Why don't we seem to care? A random act of violence, a brutal act of force. Our babies killing babies, and they have no remorse. I can't discipline my children without going to jail. You're closing all my schools down. My child is bound to fail. Ain't got no health insurance. If I buy it, I can't eat. Another homeless veteran with blisters on his feet.
I've been gone for a while. Now I'm back, thought we had it made. 2015, modern day shot. Jack of spades, soldier at heart. Ready, able, always willing. I fought for this country. Now my fight is for the children. Assemble to the right. As I ignite, thought you knew this. Thought that I would stand down. Please, you must be foolish. No other one to save. No need to pretend. You got a child. Parent, no time to be their friend. You're right, in their sights, it's an all-out manhunt. Used to be a time when us blacks owned storefronts. Rising to the top, unity, it was in our sight. Music change, drugs rule, puff, smoke away your rights. Teens like zombie, law calls you villain. Claim you smoking herb, now you hard and you killing. Used to have the answer, now you searching for suggestion. I'm guessing only God has the answer to these questions.
In the water, or something in the air. What is it that we're